moving to a new country for your education. It's sold as this amazing new start, right? Total intellectual freedom.
It is. But when you actually speak to students on the ground, that gloss, it just falls away.
And you're left with a much, much tougher reality. It's like a global minefield of financial, legal, and even safety issues.
It's so true. International students are, I mean, they're just inherently more vulnerable than domestic students. You're trying to figure out a whole new government, new laws, new economic systems.
And some people know how to take advantage of that.
They absolutely do.
Yeah.
So you're not just learning your course material. You're learning an entirely new system of just financial survival.
And because this is happening everywhere, we've pulled together a whole stack of global sources for this deep dive.
We have. We're looking at things like really sophisticated tax law in the U.S., the rental market in Canada.
High stakes is an understatement for that one. And also some pretty fundamental economic problems in Australia.
Exactly. And we're even getting down to some very granular, like real-world budgeting hacks from Japan and the U.K.
So our mission today is to give you a shortcut, a way to get informed fast.
We're going to unpack 3 critical areas. First, how to spot and just avoid these pervasive scams. Then, how to see the structural financial disadvantages. And finally,
the actionable survival strategies, the things that can literally keep you afloat with housing and budgeting.
Let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with safety. The danger here is so immediate, and it often targets a student's biggest fear.
Their visa status.
Exactly. So what are the universal red flags? What tells you that something is fraudulent, whether it's a phone call or an email?
Well, you have to trust your gut and some basic warnings.
Okay.
If an email lands in your spam folder or, it's full of really obvious spelling and grammar mistakes, that's your first alert.
That seems basic, but people fall for it.
They do. And for recruitment scams specifically, a legitimate U.S. company will never ask for personal details like your age, gender, date of birth, or home address in a cold email.
What are they doing with that?
They're just gathering data so they can commit identity thefts down the line.
But the real tool they use, the psychological one, is pressure. They just rush you, don't they?
Absolutely. That is rule number 1 in the scammer's playbook. Emphasize immediate action. Threaten you with horrible consequences if you don't comply right now.
Things like arrest or deportation.
Exactly. And the whole point is to stop you from doing the one thing that would expose them.
Taking a minute to think.
Taking just 5 minutes to verify who they actually are. They'll also, almost always, demand really strange payment methods. Think gift cards, wire transfers, crypto.
Anything that's untraceable.
Untraceable and irreversible.
And the tech they use for this it's pretty advanced. It's not just a weird email anymore. They're spoofing their identities.
Spoofing is a technique that can make a criminal's call look like it's coming from a legitimate place.
Like the police.
Or the FBI. Or the IRS. We looked at one case, a student got a call, and the caller ID on their phone actually said it was the FBI office in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Wow. Okay, so what was the threat in that specific case, and why on earth did the student believe it?
The scammer said the student was facing arrest for serious tax fraud, and they had to clear it up immediately.
By paying them.
By buying thousands of dollars in gift cards and reading the serial numbers over the phone. And the student was terrified because they checked the number online, and it was the real number for the FBI office.
So what happened?
They only avoided losing all that money because a store clerk, thankfully, got suspicious about why a young person was buying so many gift cards.
So the scammer used the student's fear of the legal system, that fear of deportation, as a weapon.
A perfect lever, which connects directly to the common roles these scammers pretend to be.
Right. What are the most common identities they use?
The biggest one by far is immigration fraud. The caller will claim to be from Homeland Security or U.S.C.I.S.
U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services.
Right? And they'll demand fees for things that are actually free, or try to get your Form I-9 info over the phone. You have to remember, USCIS will almost always contact you by mail first, not with some aggressive phone call demanding money.
So if you get a call that's threatening, pressuring you, and demanding weird payments, what is the best defense? We found a really great acronym.
We did. Rice University's international office suggests the S.C.A.M strategy. S.C.A.M.
Okay, break it down.
S is for stop. Stop the transaction immediately if you feel pressured. C is collect. Get their name, agency contact number, even if you think it's fake.
Just for the record.
Exactly. A is alert. Call your university's international office or the local police. And finally, M is make a report. File them with the FTC or your local equivalent.
Being prepared is half the battle.
It really is.
All right, let's move from outright crime to these more complex bureaucratic traps. And there is no trap more complex than the U.S. tax system for students.
Oh, it's a minefield. It all comes down to whether you're a resident alien or a non-resident alien for tax purposes.
What's the difference?
A resident alien is taxed on worldwide income. A non-resident is only taxed on income earned in the U.S. And usually, something called the substantial presence test decides which one you are.
But the sources we looked at said students on F1 visas get this huge initial break.
They do, and this is the key. This is what sets the trap. Students on an F1 visa are called exempt individuals at first.
What does that mean, exempt?
It means for up to 5 calendar years, the days you spend in the U.S. don't actually count toward that substantial presence test. It keeps you in the simpler, non-resident alien category. It's a massive benefit.
Okay, so if it's a benefit for 5 years, where's the hidden cost? When does it become a problem?
The danger comes right when that 5-year exemption ends. Your tax status can just automatically switch to resident alien, and often nobody, not the student, not the employer, gets a clear notification.
And the employer might not be tracking that date.
Many don't. So they fail to adjust the payroll withholding for something called FICA.
Okay, what's FICA and why does that suddenly matter?
FICA is the Federal Insurance Contributions Act. It's basically your Social Security and Medicare taxes.
Right.
Non-resident aliens are typically exempt from paying FICA taxes.
Yeah.
But resident aliens are not.
Oh, I see where this is going.
So if your status switches, you and your employer are now legally on the hook for all that back pay on FICA. The student suddenly gets hit with a huge tax bill, thousands of dollars they didn't expect, and the employer has to go back and amend old tax returns. It's a total mess.
Just because of an undocumented change in status, that's a classic system trap.
It really is.
Let's shift gears now, globally, over to Australia, where the disadvantages are more. Well, they're structural and economic. Youth Law Australia pointed out something called junior wages.
Yeah, this is a major systemic issue. Our sources show that young workers, anyone under 21, can legally be paid a lot less than adults for the exact same job.
How much less?
Under the General Retail Industry Award, for example, a 16-year-old could be earning as little as 50% of the adult minimum wage. It's basically legal age discrimination, and it hits young international students really hard.
And on top of that, their ability to earn is already capped by their visa.
Precisely. Student visa holders in Australia can't work more than 48 hours per fortnight during the semester. And the data shows the cap is it's not enough.
Not enough to live on.
Not at all. We saw one university's analysis showing students worked an average of nearly 30 hours a week, way over the legal limit, just to get by.
So they're trapped. Work illegally and risk your visa, or work legally and you can't pay your bills.
It's an impossible choice.
And speaking of not paying bills, let's talk about housing. This is a massive issue everywhere, but our source is really focused on Canada.
Yes, a Thompson Rivers University study found that over 55% of international students there struggle with housing security. That's more than half.
And when you look at the costs, you can see why.
Absolutely. In cities like Vancouver or Toronto, a one-bedroom apartment, you're looking at maybe $1,500 to $2,500 a month.
And even in the cheaper cities.
Even in Montreal or Calgary, you're still hovering around $1,000 to $1,800. Homestays are a bit better, maybe $900 to $1,500, and that often includes utilities or food, but there just aren't enough of them.
This kind of high demand makes students a prime target for rental scams, especially if they're trying to find a place before they even arrive in the country.
A classic target.
So what's the concrete advice? How do you verify a landlord is legit?
You have to slow down. I know it's stressful, but you have to verify everything. Never pay a full amount or even a big deposit before you've signed a lease and seen the property.
Either in person or through a trusted virtual tour.
Right. And to verify the landlord, ask for a utility bill or a tax assessment document, something that shows their name and the property address match the lease. If they refuse to provide that basic proof, walk away.
Good advice.
You could even contact the local land registry office to see who the registered owner is.
Okay, we've covered the risks, the big structural barriers. Now for the practical stuff, the survival toolkit, starting with mastering a budget.
Budgeting is more than just tracking tuition. It's about managing your cash flow to reduce stress. Students are usually pretty good with fixed costs, tuition, rent.
It's the other stuff that gets you.
It's the flexible expenses that sink the ship. Groceries, going out, travel. Because those are so easy to overspend on, you have to assign a specific, non-negotiable monthly limit to them.
I thought some of the global shopping tips were fascinating, especially from Japan, this concept of waribiki.
Waribiki is such a crucial cultural hack. It's all about timing your supermarket trip. Japanese stores have incredibly strict freshness rules,
So they have to sell things quickly.
which means they drastically discount fresh food produce, meat, prepared bento boxes, as it gets close to the sell-by date. So students learn to wait until late evening, say 6:30 NITR 8000, to go hunting for those discount stickers.
A game of patience that pays off.
Big time. It saves a fortune on otherwise expensive fresh food.
And the general rule here, no matter where you are, is avoid convenience stores.
Oh, completely. Avoid them for daily shopping unless it's a true emergency. For your main groceries, find the discount chains, like Gomu Super in Japan or Aldi and Lidl in the UK.
And speaking of the UK, the savings from just switching to store brand products, it was shocking.
The difference is huge. You're cutting out all the marketing costs of the big brands. We saw one example where choosing own brand items in a tiny 4-item shopping basket saved over £11.
That adds up so fast.
It does. Replicate that saving across your weekly shop for a year, and you're looking at hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars back in your pocket. It's about building a habit.
What about beyond just buying cheaper brands like meal prep and food substitution?
Okay, so buy your foundational fillers in bulk. Rice, dried beans, lentils, meat. Freeze the meat right away in individual portions. And when you're cooking, lean on cheap, high-volume fillers. Bean sprouts, tofu, pasta. You might be surprised to find pasta is actually cheaper than rice in some markets.
And there was one massive saving tip most people miss.
Stop buying drinks at convenience stores.
Yeah.
Seriously, just stop. Invest in a good thermos. Use powdered tea or tea bags. That is pure passive saving every single day.
Finally, utilities. Energy costs are enormous right now, especially in places like the UK. What are students doing about that?
The standard stuff helps, unplug appliances, use LED lights. But what really shows the level of financial pressure are the things universities are doing.
Like what?
They've started setting up designated warm spaces. Places like the library or student centers that stay open late and on weekends so students can study and stay warm without running up huge bills at home.
Wow. Some campuses are even offering free hot showers.
They are. For students who genuinely can't afford to heat their own places, you have to use these resources. And also check with your energy provider. International students are eligible for some government energy discounts.
It's just so clear that being an international student today demands a level of resourcefulness that goes way beyond just passing your exams.
This deep dive really just highlights the need for constant vigilance. If we synthesize the key points for you, be proactive about spotting scams, especially any that demand immediate payment with a gift card or a wire transfer.
And get your housing sorted out early, 3 to 6 months in advance if you can, and always use those verification steps.
And finally, embrace that granular budgeting. The sources showed the power of shopping smarter, hunting for those waribiki deals, or just choosing the store brand.
And crucially, know your rights as a tenant, get a written lease, understand your protection from unfair eviction, know the maximum deposit limits. These rights are your shield.
And this all leads to our final provocative thought. The sources showed that demand for student legal services, just for things like being underpaid or housing disputes, has exploded, up 173% in 1 year at one service we looked at.
So, when students are working heavy hours, sometimes 30 hours a week, and they're still dealing with food insecurity, the question really isn't just about how well students can budget.
We have to ask, are the current structural conditions, the low junior wages, the rigid work caps, the lack of support, are they creating a fundamentally unsustainable system for a whole generation of students?
Are we effectively forcing them into systemic financial distress? That structural challenge is maybe the biggest takeaway from these sources, and it's something for you to think about long after this.